welcome back to another episode of the Hollywood Bound Actor Podcast. It's Christine Horn, the Book and Magnet, and I'm so excited for you to meet my guest today, Ronnie Hudson II, out of Illinois, but worldwide. I mean, let's just be clear about what's happening in his career. Rodney has been a part of the Hollywood Bound Actors community. He's worked with me privately, and it's just been an honor, and I feel like a proud big sister cousin over here watching things happen in his career. Ronnie, welcome to the Hollywood Bad Actor Podcast.
Thank you, Christine, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes, I'm so happy that you're here. I've had so many, if you've been listening or watching the podcast for a while, um, you've been hearing some of the great conversations that we've been having. And Rodney was on the top of my list to invite just because for many reasons. I did an interview with give me his name right now. His name is escaping me. One of my other clients who is a full-time, he's a dad, he's an actor, um, and he's a full-time nurse. And I had a great time really having that conversation with him, just about juggling all that, the realities of being an adult with responsibilities, while also going after a dream that means so much to you. Ronnie, in my brain is really, I'm having a brain fart. I cannot think of the brother's name right now. Starts with the J. I want to say James, but I'm gonna just leave it there. Ronnie, tell everyone listening just about you. Where are you from? How did you get started in acting? Like, just give me a bit of your
Yeah,
background.
so yeah, my journey is it's a little different from most people. Like I said, I grew up in rural Georgia, Wadley, Georgia, small town, probably about 2,000 people. Um, Acting was I mean, I've done a few church plays and skits and things like that here and there. But it was never something that seemed like a possibility. It was just inside the TV. You always watch TV and watch movies and stuff, and it's like, man, I could do that. But that was Hollywood. That's way across the country. There was no access whatsoever to any of that. So it was never anything that I actually wanted to pursue or try to pursue. When I grew up, we were playing sports. We played basketball. We went outside. We did that type of thing. And I was, like I said, very good in school. Um, Math, science, that's what I kind of gravitated towards. And so throughout, all my childhood, as I went through school and everything, I set my sights on becoming an engineer. And so that is kind of what I did. I went to Georgia Tech after I graduated high school, majored in electrical engineering, got my bachelor's from there, and I got my first job out of college with Boeing in Philadelphia. So I lived in Philadelphia for about 4 years, did that at Boeing, and then I got the position that I currently have today with Caterpillar, and I moved to Peoria, Illinois in 2012. Um, I guess also during that time while I was in Philadelphia, I also got a master's degree in systems engineering. So I kind of doubled down. I doubled
Okay.
down on the whole engineering aspect of everything. That is what I was doing as a career. Came over to Caterpillar, started doing living life here, and then this is really where it all kind of began, because I think after about 3 years of being here in Peoria, I noticed the theater scene here was very large. They have about three major community theaters in the area that do about five or six different shows, musicals every year.
Wow.
And so I was at church one day, and I heard some of the people coming saying, "Hey, we're going to this show tonight. We're going to see The Color Purple." I'm like, "Huh? Where do they do that at? That like that's here?" And they was
Mhm.
like, "Yeah, you should come. It's over at Cornstalk or whatever." And so I went over to see that show that night, and I'm just like, "Wow, they do that kind of stuff here." And so at that same time, it was kind of like that's kind of where um it began, because they once I saw that they were doing Color Purple, they had the other theater was doing Sister Act at the same time. Then later on, I think they started doing To Kill a Mockingbird. So all of these shows were just going on, and I was just like, man, I've always wanted to try that. I always wanted to get involved. And so then, lo and behold, a couple months later, I had a guy reach out to me by the name of Anthony Hendricks. I always shout out Jemina. That's my guy. He gave me my first role in a play. He actually wrote a original stage play called
Wow.
Strangeland.
Wow, we
And
never
so,
forget those people who give us those early breaks. Those are very
yeah,
special. So shout out to him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he called me and said, "Hey, do you want to be in this play? I saw you singing on the praise team at your church and stuff, so I know you can sing, and you know you want to be in this play." So I'm just like, "What? Like me singing with like especially with all the people that I knew that were supposed to be a part of it." I was like, "Man, I can't, sing with those guys. There's no way." But then, like I said, lo and behold, he gave me that opportunity. This is when I really started to break out of my shell. Like I had a solo I had to perform. I did all of that, and it was just like this bug just kind of bit me at that point, and
Mhm.
ever since then I never looked back. I went from that show to probably another 10 or 11 stage plays and musicals over the next 3 4 years, and that was in 2016. And then immediately went into Cornstalk Theater, and I performed in Memphis the musical. I went from shout out to Brian Blanks, Parade the musical, directed by Derek Kimler. I've done King Triton and the Little Mermaid. I've played Booker T. Washington in Ragtime. I've done Kerchak and Tarzan the musical. It was just one after the other. I was able to play my dream role of actually playing Curtis Taylor in
Wow.
Dreamgirls, and sort of did all these things from 2016 up until 2020, right before the pandemic hit. My last show was A Raisin in the Sun. I did Raisin in the Sun, played Walter Lee right before the pandemic, the world shut down, and at that point, it was just like, man, how do I keep this going? What do I do? Because there's no plays, there's no theaters, nothing's open. And so I met a friend of mine named Ruben Ramirez who had done some extra work and some featured extra work on Empire and some of the other things that were filming in Chicago. And he kind of told me like, hey, you should kind of look to do some of this. You just need to get you some headshots, start taking a few classes, and hey, you can start getting involved doing some short films and things like that. And so at that point, the rest is history. I kind of took that advice and kind of just dove right in and started taking classes online. And luckily, everything was online, so it was a beautiful opportunity because I was able to train with
Everything was
some of the best
accessible.
studios
Yeah.
right from sitting right here where I am right now, being able to train and do on camera technique and just all those types of things, being able to make that transition from theater to the camera. And yeah, and it just kind of started to take off from there ever since.
I love that so much. And I hope that's encouraging for those of you listening and watching who, because Ronnie, I hear people say that all the time, it's too late for me. Please, that's just a dream, And I'm like, it's not, first of all, and some of my clients who are 50, 60, 70. I got some grown ass clients, okay?
Absolutely.
It's never too late because there's a role out there for all of us. Like that we need the uncles, we need the grandpas, we need the kids, right? We need the parents. What did you find I know you said the bug hit you, and y'all, if you hear a little baby bark, that's my dog outside losing his mind right now. Um, when you were on stage, because I started in the theater, as you know, what was the thing? I know you say the bug got you, but what was like the best part of being in the theater experience that even made the bug hit? Like, was it the lights? Was it the feedback from the audience? Was it being on your toes? Like, which part of it like just lit you up the most?
Yeah, I think ultimately it was the feedback from the audience. I love it's nothing like being on a live with a live audience because every night is a different is a different response. And so when you get that instant feedback, that instant gratification, you say a joke or you say something that you think was supposed to be funny, and then nobody laughs, it's completely quiet. You're like, oh man. But then the next night, they're dying. You can't even get your next line in because they still laughing and clapping. Like it was just a thrill, just hearing that response. And then when you actually sing, especially when you're doing musicals and then you do a number and then just the eruption from the crowd, you get that instant feedback that, hey man, you're amazing. Like I love your work, I love your voice. And it was just constant, one thing after the other that just made me kind of say, you know what, I might have something here. Let's see, let's see where this goes.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that too, because I want to throw this out there, not just for you, but others listening, especially if you've experienced that dopamine hit of the audience and what everything you just described. And then for a lot of actors, sometimes it can be challenging to go to the on-camera medium, doing self-tapes at home in a vacuum, no feedback, sending auditions, unless you booked it, no feedback, even being on set, you book it, someone's not patting your back or giving you applause after every take. So how did you adjust shifting from that and losing that piece? And how did that, if or did it affect, I don't know, maybe your confidence or your level of judging the quality of your work since you don't have that outside feedback coming to you?
Well, I'm like I said, I'm still adjusting. From that, I do miss it. A lot of times, I tell myself all the time, I still go to some of the shows locally here, and people ask me, "Hey, when you gonna get back on stage?" And I'm like, "Man, I'm doing this, doing this TV film thing right now, but I want to, I miss it, but it's more so now. I kind of, just from the coaching from you and from others, I audition and I just throw it out my head. I mean, it's kind of one of those things where in order to move forward, like I said, I really don't have to have the feedback as much because I know the feedback I get now is when I book. That's why I continue to do a lot of independent jobs and some of the lower budget projects and stuff because it gives me an opportunity to really act and then with those projects I can hear the feedback that I need to get. People tell me, man, I saw your movie on Tubi. I saw, this on Amazon Prime, man. That was a crazy role. Like those types of things allows me to say, hey, I'm doing something well. Like just keep training, keep auditioning, keep submitting, and eventually, we'll get the feedback and the praise that I'm looking for at some point. Just keep going in this direction, but at the same time, keep putting out good work, and you will, like I said, gather those bits and pieces of motivation that makes you keep going. And that's kind of where I'm at this point. Like I still have my support system of my family.
Mhm.
I have the friends and everything that I've built in this industry as we continue to go forth and we support one another. As they are succeeding and announcing their bookings. We making sure that we celebrating, them same
Mhm.
way as when I announce a booking, they celebrate me. So that's the kind of feedback that, we get now. And that's really what keeps me going and keeps me going forward.
Yeah, you mentioned support also, and even in you sharing how you even got started with someone giving you a break here or putting a bug in your ear, a couple of tips here, which I appreciate again, because so many gatekeepers out here, and I don't operate from that space, right? But when you did get started, I want you to talk a bit about what that was like with the support. And I personally know from working with you that you had support because with all the self-tape assignments and things like that. But sometimes, especially for those of us who start in this career as adults who have lived full lives outside of acting, to all of a sudden being like, I'm an actor, I'm doing this play, I'm auditioning for this commercial. And like, was it an audition? Was it, get your words together, Christine? Was it how was that transition with family and friends? Was it more like everybody was like, oh, that's great, Ronnie, go for it? Or was it people, or was there a little bit like, actor, like, and if so, how did you deal with that?
Yeah, people still ask me that to this day. When it comes to because I'm an engineer, because of that, that whole analytical side of me, the math, the science. People say, "Oh man, you're a nerd. How you get into, the arts? How you get into doing that kind of stuff? That don't seem to mix." So I get asked that question a lot. But like I said, when I started, it was just like my family. They love to see uh anybody perform. Like even my daughter, like I said, as you know, she's helped me with some of the self-tape assignments coming to read. She wants to read and be on stage as well. So anytime somebody gets a chance to be out in front, people love to see somebody go forward. Because I like I said, I sing on the praise team at my church. They always hounding me, hey, why don't you lead a song? Why don't you ever, lead praise and worship? I'm like, nah, I'm good right here on my microphone by myself. I'll let
Mhm.
everybody else be out in front. I don't need to do that, but people, they constantly try to push and pull you to step out front. And so whenever I finally made that step to get on stage and perform and had to do solos and different songs and do all of this numbers by myself, it was just like, man, that's what we've been waiting for. So I think that's ultimately what my family has all been about. um Wanting to see people step into their gifts that they know they have, and being able to push forward. And I'm lucky enough to have, like I said, a wife that even through the film pursuits, all the travel that I have to do going up and down the road to Chicago and traveling. Like I said, I just came back from Virginia, filming a project a few weeks ago where I was out there for 2 weeks.
Wow.
I have a wife that actually supports and is able to hold the house down and
Ooh, shout
actually
out
is
to the wife holding the house
absolutely.
down and support the dreams.
Absolutely. Taking care of these kids while I can go pursue,
Yeah,
what I want to pursue, my dreams, what I'm trying to go do. So like I said, it's ultimately without them, that constant push, without her um being able to, just stand there and continue to say, "Hey, go do it, make it happen." It wouldn't be possible. So
I love that. And I the support is everything. And I finally remember the name of the brother who I interviewed, and that's James Bostic. So if you can catch that interview, make sure you catch it. But I think it's important, and I had this conversation with him. I want to, I'm gonna say this specifically for the dads out there, because I know for many of you listening who have a dream, this yearning in your belly that's like, oh, I like acting, I enjoy it, but I got to be responsible. I got these kids, I have this wife, I have these responsibilities. And I love that you're showing how, and it doesn't mean it's always easy. I know you have days where the load is
mhm.
full, right? It is a heavy load to carry, and but you're making it happen. And so, of course, the support of your loved ones helps so much. But I hope you, as you listen to Ronnie, hear that inspiration. And so I want you to speak to actually directly to the dads out there who have this dream. And even though you're making it happen, when it feels heavy some days, and even the heaviness that you don't pass on to your wife when you come home, y'all do what you men do, you process and do it your own way. What are some ways that you find the balance or your inner peace or the reset to keep going? Like, how do you take the weight of the world and your responsibility and still find time to go for this dream?
Yeah, there's like I said, I think about this a lot because even, as a dad working a full-time job, my job as an engineer, some days, I'm working 9, 10, 11 hours. And I come home tired, not really feeling like doing anything. I got a 2-year-old and a 12-year-old. There's a major gap in the needs of each of those kids. And then at the same time, there may be 3 auditions that are due that night or the next morning or something at the same time. And so a lot of times, you know, as you say, life really starts lifing.
Mhm.
And I have to take a step back. I will say for anybody that is pursuing it in this fashion, you have to compartmentalize. Sometimes I have literally turned down some auditions just because life was at a point where I just couldn't handle it at that particular time. I couldn't do work, couldn't come home, go to my daughter's games to make sure I'm still there and still present, as well as, making sure the whole household is taken care of. There's issues. The water heater is flooding the basement, and I got to deal with all this. But at the same time, I need to come and submit these 2 auditions. So there's times where I've had to, either decline the audition, to just take a reset, take a step back. I'm like, I'm okay. There'll be more. So at that moment, I just make sure everything is covered, make sure I'm okay at home, take a week or whatever. And then when the next week comes, I start all over and make sure, you can put things in perspective and put things where they're supposed to be.
Yeah,
One thing that like I said, I learned from you is that, setting that non-negotiable time for yourself.
yeah, yes.
And that's one thing that I've had to kind of learn and come up with myself, because ultimately, like I said, when you're a dad, when you're a father trying to provide for a wife, because like I said, my wife is stay-at-home mom. She's staying with the kids and doing that part. So when I have that weight to make sure that they are all taken care of at the same time. So that's why, I work so hard with my job, but at the same time trying to pursue my dreams. Sometimes I have to, put that on off to the side just a little bit to make sure that I have home covered first.
Mhm.
And so that's kind of what I do. I would say, like I said, every now and then I have to take a break. I put it down.
Yeah.
I still will stay involved. I'll still read. I'll still do those types of things. Continue to, to watch the TV I do with the eye that I'm looking at. Okay, how did they do that particular thing? I still take notes and constantly in thought, but I may not be actively, taping, or I may not be actively in class. I may not be actively doing that at that moment. May not be traveling to Chicago for, a couple of weeks for a particular project. So I'll put it all down so I can make sure that home's covered. And then as soon as I can get some, you know, a little balance, as
Reset.
soon as I can
Right.
get things, yeah, as soon as I can get things back in order to where I can feel like, okay, I've built me up a little buffer, I'll get
Hmm.
right back in it. And
I love,
and and it's just as if I never left. So
love it. Thank you for that transparency because, if if we leave it to Instagram only, we assume, everybody's doing this all day, every day, 24/7. Like this is it. Like, and it's like, I really just like to dispel that myth and just really be very, and again, if you follow me, y'all, if you've been watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, I'm a very transparent person. So I want you to know like everybody's reality of how this happens looks different, but don't compare your process or think you're failing because you're having a hard week because of the demands of your everyday life. Like it's okay. And when I worked with Ronnie, and not just Ronnie, you've heard some other people that I've read, talked to. Some people were nurses. Every actor I've talked to, most of them have full-time jobs or work in some way. And when I worked with you all privately in Rise, my private coaching, I also told all of y'all, like, well, I love you. I just don't care. Like, casting doesn't know or care that you had to work 11 hours today. This audition for this Marvel movie is due tomorrow, or it's due in 2 days. Are you going to do it or not? And I love that you talked about declining some auditions because that is conversations I've had with many clients. If you're not going to do your best work, I'd rather you decline than give the impression like this is the best you can do because you just got it done just to get it done.
hmm
Tired, eyes cockeyed. Like I'd rather you just
hmm
decline, and that way that's not the last impression you leave with them. So I love that you talked about resetting. That's so real. And because guys, the industry will be here. And I know that feeling of don't wanting to miss out, like, oh, what if I miss? But you have to maintain you and your mental health and your sanity and the peace in your home. So thank you for sharing that. You've really been since 2016, as you mentioned, been going through this process of being a working actor. And what do you think you've learned about yourself in this process?
One of the main things um is that I know when I'm passionate about something, when I want it, I'm gonna go get it.
Okay, before we get back to today's episode, I need to make sure that you know about Book More TV. That is my signature course for actors that teaches you how to book more TV. Listen, I know it can be very confusing on how to get that first co star, that guest star, or even that series regular role. And I want to take that confusion out for you. This is a 5-week course, a self paced course that I will walk you step by step through what I do to book more television. And get this, there is lifetime access to live monthly Q&As with me and our Book More TV community. You do not want to miss this. Our community is strong and our students are working, and I want you to be one of them. Visit bookmoretv.com and get registered today. Come on. Come on. Period.
I mean, and I tell people a lot of times, a lot of people, I have people at my church that come to me a lot, or people in different arenas that I meet that see, as you say, the Instagram, they see the stuff that I post, which is obviously the wins, the bookings, oh, check out my premiere, come here, do those types of things. That's the stuff you see. You don't see all of the 3 hour drive to Chicago
Ooh,
for
talk about
to get to an independent set working for free,
it. Mm-hmm.
get there, and you don't film because 4 or 5 other people didn't show up.
Ooh, what? Ooh.
And so your whole day is wasted, and now I got to drive 3 hours to come back home for free.
Mm.
So you don't see all of that I have to go through. You don't
Right.
see, all of the money, the hotels and stuff that I'm paying to stay overnight, the all of the travel, the constant, 3 o'clock in the morning trying to finish tapes and do all. You don't get to see all that. So I have a lot of people that tell me, man, I said, man, you out here doing it. I want to be an actor, man. I want to be like you. How do you? I say, no, you don't. You want to be on TV. You
Mm,
want celebrity. You want to like see yourself on the screen. I used to say that too. Like, yeah, man, I want to see myself on TV. It was the best feeling ever. That first
mhm.
time I saw myself on Chicago PD.
Woo!
That was
Yes,
that was
yes,
that
yes.
that was that was absolutely incredible.
I was
Like,
gonna
man,
get to
there
that.
it is. I'm on actual TV. Like, this is not just a independent movie. This is network TV that everybody's watching right now, national. And so I'm just like, wow, mind blown. But yeah, that's what people want. That's what and I'm okay with that. It's okay to say that's what I want. But when you say you want to be an actor, what comes with being an actor, especially if you're working a full-time job, you live in 3 hours away from where the actual central location is that most of the films are taking place. There's a lot more that you got to do. I mean, you're not
Yes.
you're not trying to pay the $400 or $500 to get these headshots. You're not trying to buy all this equipment to have in your house, to do these self tapes at home. You're not trying to do all this. Once I tell you all the stuff that you got to do, you're gonna be like, nah, I didn't know it
Trust,
was like that.
trust me, I know. People come to me all the time.
So I have these conversations all the time, and so when I tell them those things, it's just like, wow, um, man, you doing all that? I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
So if you ready to do that, then come walk with me, and I can show you what I did.
Yeah, I love that, and it's good to know that for yourself that when you have made a decision, when you decided that you want something, you go after it because that way that when you don't go fully towards something, you don't really want it. Because if you really wanted it, you that click happens. I always say everything changes when you make a decision. When you make a decision, everything changes. And that's in any area of our lives. You're like, I have decided to blank. Okay, you've decided. It's done. I love that so much. And, as we get ready to wrap up, I do have to talk about, I was again proud big sister, auntie, cousin over here when you did book Chicago PD. We worked and the goal was to get that juicy network, gig, that first speaking, Lord, speaking. And so,
Absolutely.
and before that, I know there were close calls and getting called in by this office multiple times, but then it finally happened. What was that experience like, just being on set, seeing the show that you've seen and read for many times, and actually realizing you're there, you're part of it. Like what was going through your mind that day?
So I have two different stories because, like I
Uh,
said, because I booked Chicago PD and I booked Chicago Fire, the experiences were completely different.
okay. I
Chicago
want to hear.
PD, my Chicago PD experience was a complete blur. It happened so fast. It literally that morning, it was the morning after the Super Bowl. Chicago traffic. I made sure I was up there. My hotel was about 20 minutes away from center space, which I guess 20 minutes without traffic. And I had planned that morning, my call time was at 8 a.m. I had planned to make sure I leave at like 7. I was going to get there by 7:30, make sure I got to my trailer. I can do me a little video, first time type of thing as I'm walking to the trailer, all that stuff. I got in my car at 6:50 and put the address in the GPS, and it said I was going to arrive at 7:55
Ooh, ooh.
to get to set. And that was to the parking lot that I had to take a shuttle to, and then they was gonna shuttle me over. So now I'm freaking out. I'm about to be
We
late.
all we all know that feeling of when that GPS shows you like,
Yeah, it's like an hour drive to get 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm freaking out. This is the first time. I'm like, they about to fire me. I don't know. I'm not gonna do it. Oh my gosh. So that whole time I got there, we got to the bus. I'm sitting on the bus. The guy, he just waiting. It's 8:05. He's not moving. He's like, yeah, I'm waiting for some other people. We're gonna leave at 8:10. I'm trying to text the AD like, hey, I'm on the way. I'm here. Like, it just was just so much chaos. And when I finally got to the trailer, I didn't even get a chance to do my whole video or nothing just because I'm running. I'm just trying to get there. She
Mhm.
had to ensure me, hey, we good. We built in some time for this. Don't worry about it. Just get inside, put your wardrobe on. I'll come get you, take you to hair and makeup. So we went through, like I said, that at that point, once I got into the trailer, I calmed down. Everything was amazing. Had a chance to, like I said, go through the whole process, hair and makeup. They came and got us, loaded us on the shuttle, took us down to set. um and just that, like I said, seeing how many people are a part of a production like that
Mhm.
to do, this one small scene that I had. It was kind of incredible, just the well-oiled machine that it was just. And I think I was there from the time I got there. It was probably 8:05. I was back in my car by 12:30. It was a 4 hour,
Yeah, that shows like that. I compare the Chicago, even though I've not been on the Chicago-based shows yet, um, they remind me of the NCIS in LA that has been on
hmm
the air for so long. That team, they know what they're doing and how to do it quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, we did about eight, probably about 8 takes, four wide shots. They punched in, and then it was like, hey, we're moving on. And as soon as they took the microphone and stuff off me, they was like, hey, we got that van over there with that door open. They're ready to take you back to base camp. You can go. I'm like, wow, I can't even stand around and watch. I already got the script. I know what's gonna happen. Y'all can't see what's the next scene y'all filming or nothing. They was like, nah, you got to go, go get on that go get on that bus. We're gonna take you back. And I'm like, oh man. So I was back in my car, 12:30. It was over. I'm just like, man, okay, that was quick. But then later on that year, after the strike, I booked the first episode of Chicago Fire season 12 as soon as we came back off the strike. And this I had a week of filming, 3 days where
That
I
was a
was on.
that was a juicy character, that Chicago Fire.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I was on set for 3 days, and with that one, I had a chance. Like I said, it was a completely different experience. My call time was, 5, 6 a.m. I'm getting there just at the same time with all the series regulars. By the second day, everybody knows me by name. We walking up to our trailers at the same time. I'm like, man, I can get
Feels
used to this.
good.
This
Yeah.
is the life. This is what I'm asking for right here. And so that experience was like night and day compared to PD, just because the other one was so fast. This one I felt like, you know, it was my day job. I felt like this is the dream that I'm fighting for, that I'm continuously working for. And I got a small taste of it, being a regular for, 2, 3 days, and
Mhm.
being around that the cast and everybody knowing me by name, just having a good time, being able to do some stunts. I got slammed on the car a few
Yes.
times. I was a little sore, afterwards. I had to do all of that. So it was a great time.
I love that. I'm so proud of you. And I truly am so excited. I was excited. And then when I got to see the footage, I was even more excited. And the work, all the work you've put in showed up there, Ronnie. Like it was not for naught. Like the days in the theater, doing the self-tapes, staying up late, like driving, it was worth it. And I'm excited for the more that is coming. Thank you more, please. It was, I
Absolutely.
think I think what I'm hearing, and if those of you listening can relate, it's that feeling of realizing, wow, there's not much difference between me and these series regulars. It's not like this actor has a bigger role and gets to come more days than I do, but I made it this far. And I just want to say that to all of you listening, like there is not that difference. Yeah, the work, the time, but when it's yours. And sometimes we put this distance between, oh, a series regular or a guest star, recurring guest star. And because maybe if you haven't had a taste of it, but I'd like to tell people, if you're one of those people, maybe you haven't even had your first guest star yet, I mean, co-star yet, and you're listening to this, when you do get it, the difference between the co-star and the guest star, I like to tell my students is like, just think you're doing more co-stars. Like it's three co-star scenes instead of just one. It's just you
Right.
just keep showing up and it's just more
Right.
co-star scenes, right? Which of course is a different mental shift the more you build your character, but you are worthy of being there. And so the way that they're greeting you the next day, oh, you're back. Okay, is this your last day? Oh, okay, you back tomorrow. You wrapped. Oh man, good to see you. Great work. It's that camaraderie is definitely it's a great feeling. And I know you'll experience much more of that. Before we get ready to wrap today, I have two last questions for you. One, um, you talked a bit about resetting and just your personal life while being a busy working parent and husband. But how do you deal with the close calls? Like, what do you do to soothe yourself, give yourself another boost to keep going when you do have the close calls, the pins, the callbacks, the really
Mhm.
wanted that, but it didn't come through. I could taste that role and I didn't get it. Like, we're human, so we have emotions that are tied to these moments. How do you reset, deal, process those things, those slow seasons or those close calls?
That's kind of funny that you asked that too, because after you and I worked, and we revamped my cover letter and did all that stuff that we did, and I got my new agency at the beginning of 2023. My first audition that I had from that agency was Chicago PD. I booked it. We went through a few more little auditions here and there. The strike happened that summer. We came out of the strike. I got a Chicago Fire audition, booked it. So my first couple ones was, like I said, bookings. Going into the beginning of this year, I had a few auditions for Emperor of Ocean Park. That's on MGM Plus, with Forrest Whitaker. I did that audition, and I was on set for another independent project when I got the phone call from my agent that, hey, you're on first refusal. I'm like, oh snap! All the previous two times when I got that phone call, it was a phone call right after that that said you booked it. This
Mhm.
time I got that call. I'm thinking like, oh,
It's in the bag.
this
When do I
it's another one.
when do I need to be on set?
Exactly. Like when do I show up? Like I'm waiting on you. Just tell me, come back with the details. So then I'm waiting. I got nothing that whole day. 2 days later, I got an email said I got released. I'm like, oh man, that was the first gut punch of that caliber that I had felt, of what it felt like to be that close and then get it kind of snatched away from you. Um, I don't know. It was kind of I didn't stay in it too long. It was one of those things. I guess kind of at this point I'm conditioned just through uh all of the coaching and teachings and the things that I have listened to and the affirmations I've kind of put in myself. I'm kind of conditioned to let it go because I know there's another one right around the corner. There's another opportunity. That one wasn't mine. If it could, because if it is mine, it will be for me. What God has for me is for me. So that one wasn't mine. So okay, I know I took solace in the fact that I know they saw me.
Mhm.
Casting director, they saw my work. They know what I did. The producers or whatever, they saw my work. They had me on the short list. So there'll be another opportunity if that show continues. There'll be another opportunity where it's like, this is the one for him. So I can take solace in knowing that that is coming. Fast forward a few months later, I had an audition for The Shy, for season 7. This one was one that I was just like, oh man, the guy was playing spades and doing some stuff. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is me. This is my type of character here. I'm like, let's go. So I did that audition, and I knew when I sent it in. Usually, a lot of my auditions I send in, I don't think that, oh man, I think I got that one. This one, I felt like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get a phone call from this one. This was one of the first ones I sent in. Like, I'm waiting. I was in the gym, got the phone call like, hey, they want to put you on first refusal for The Shy. I'm like, yes, this is it. I knew it. Got
Book
it.
the room. Book
Finally.
the room. Yes.
Finally. Let's go. I'm got it. Here we go. 2 days later, got an email said I got released. So I'm like, oh my gosh, not again. So now I'm 2 for 2. I'm like, man. So this is how this feels. And so it was those types of things, like I said, that like I said, I hadn't felt it because I had the highs of highs by booking my first two,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, this is what everybody talks about being on first refusal and getting released. I'm like, oh, this is the feeling that y'all are talking about.
You said,
I
oh,
can
okay, this is
see.
it. Like, this is the
I
ghetto. I don't like it here. I don't like it here.
Yeah, I need to go back over here where I was at before, but nah, it's just one of those things where, like I said, through the affirmations and just through the mantras that I kind of continue to tell myself, and listening to people like you and others that just speak positivity, I'm able to kind of just take the good from that, like knowing that that was a win, knowing that, like we say, I booked the room. I know the casting office now sees the work that I can do, so I know there'll be more opportunities. I know it's coming from that, and so at this point, I'm just gonna be ready for when that next time comes.
Yeah, and you will. And yeah, it's that feeling never gets easy.
Right.
For me, I rest in what's for me can't miss me. And you've heard some of my stories. So, I've high
Oh yeah.
highs and low lows, right? And that's, I'm like, well, what's for me will be easy. It will be in flow. I'm the one. No, without question. And what I am hearing from both those stories is that you book the room. I talk a lot about that here on the podcast, booking the room, getting callback, getting the pin, getting to down to the wire, sent to producers, as one of the choices is a huge thing. Huge. And I know we want the booking naturally, but we can't skip over you were one of the one or three men that were sent to the network for approval, and they went a different direction. And casting does not forget that. Casting keeps you on that short list. Casting has a great idea of what you can do in their head. And when there's something for you again, they will call you again. At this point, I have lost count. If I were to really tally, I could tell. I probably said another podcast. I think at this point for Chicago Med, I think I've read for Chicago Med easily 15 plus times, been pinned. I've lost many times. Years ago, I booked Chicago Med on the same day that I booked 4 other projects and ended up taking the good doctor. The good doctor, Chicago
Ah.
Med came in like in the afternoon, and then good doctor came in like around 5 p.m. And at the time, the characters, they were all good, but I was like, me and my team decided to go with the good doctor. No regrets there. But ever since then, I hadn't booked it since. But I'm like, everybody at Chicago Med office, if you're listening, I know you know what I can do. They've seen me do every character I can think of. And when I get another audition, I'm like, okay, I know y'all. What do y'all want to see me do today? Like
Right.
I come at it with this kind of playful energy. Clearly, y'all like me. Clearly, y'all in that office are rooting for me. And I'm like, okay, it's all right. Maybe you're even prepping me to be the series regular on something else. Like, I don't even know. Like, let's just so keep putting your best work forward, your best foot forward. I want to say that to you and everyone listening and watching, because sometimes it can be easy to feel like, oh, they call me again. Like, well, they booked me already. Like, reset your energy because at least they're calling you. You're doing something right. Before we go, I've been asking this question to everyone that comes on the podcast. And you've given so many great gems already, an inspiration. But for the actor out there, again, and I really want to pour into my men because I don't have as many men on the podcast, and so I really want to hone in on that. For the men out there, oftentimes men are some of the last ones to get coaching. They think, a lot of times I got this, and stuff ain't working, you ain't booking, but you don't know what's wrong because
Right.
you think you got it already figured out. So, what piece of advice would you give to the male actors out there who are pursuing this? Maybe they haven't had the break they wanted yet. They're feeling frustrated, but they can't seem to put it down. Like, just how can you just love on them, show them another perspective to take away with today?
Yeah, that's definitely that thing, not being able to put it down, something that's constantly on your mind, something that you always think about. That's why I know for sure this is something that I'm supposed to be doing. Because it's on my mind 24/7. I sleep it, I breathe it, I wake up, I'm thinking about scripts. I'm looking at scripts, I'm laying on the floor. I'm reading different books. I'm trying to add new things to my toolbox. I'm working on emotions. I'm working on tapping into my own emotions, those types of things. So when you talk about someone that is at that place, the best piece of advice I can give is actually to lean into it. That all of those feelings that you have, that you like, man, I this acting thing, I like it, I'm doing it, I'm thinking about it all the time. I'm doing all these tapes. Nobody's booking me. Just find ways to get yourself on camera, find ways to uh yeah, to I mean even to make your own content, write, go to shows, surround yourself in this industry in this so that you can be constantly fed, because ultimately that's what it is. It's a hunger. So for myself, like I said, I make sure I try to go to plays as much as I can, just to keep the theater in me. Like I said, I read as many books as I can, and then at the same time, I will even do certain film projects, student films. I still do some student films and stuff, just because, especially if it's a script that I can connect with, that means something to me, and I feel um, that it's a story that I want to help tell. I'll still get involved just as an opportunity to either to, like I said, to practice, to really put myself on tape, to try out some things that I've been working on, and to ultimately keep myself in front of the camera, so that way I don't lose that energy, I don't lose that momentum, because this is definitely an industry. Like I said, it's full of rejection, it's full of hardship. There's times where there's work that's completely dry, and you have to find ways to keep yourself engulfed in it, or you could easily put it down and forget about it. But for those that have it, that's still in them, and it's tugging at your heart, it's constantly, you know, you constantly want to be a part of it. You want to see yourself on screen. Figure out ways to just make sure you lean into it, and figure out ways to put yourself on tape.
I love it. Figure it out. If you want it bad enough, you have to just figure it out.
And that's, I mean, that's my thing. If you truly want it bad enough, you'll do it. Like I said, you'll drive to where you want to go. You'll say, hey, this audition is in Texas. I'm in New York, but
Mhm.
I want it. You'll figure out how to get there.
That's the truth. I'm a living testimony of that, and as are you. It's, it's no one can do that for you. It has to be, that's why I tell people, don't just do this for the money and the fame, because there's a big gap in between those two, of where you are now, that just and where that is. So if you don't love it and are finding joy somewhere else in the in between, this ain't the thing for you. There's so many other things that you can do.
And
Oh,
then
Ronnie,
ultimately live life. That's the
yes.
thing. Like I said, life is
Oh,
the best teacher when it comes to acting. That's one thing that I've been doing lately, is just trying to take experiences and then kind of make mental notes of these experiences, because I always find times I get scripts that I see a particular person is or has done some type of thing that I've never been able to do. Um, but if I've seen it, or if I've been close enough to it, I could kind of observe and take some notes of how that would feel, and how those things, how a person would act in that particular situation, and I can kind of put that in myself to bring it out in the character. And so those are the types of things that, like I said, I continue to do. Like, as you just live life and you're just watching people, and you talking people, you're traveling, you're doing those types of things. Like, all of that is learning experience, and all of that could be contributing to
mm,
your actor life.
yeah. Yeah, I love it. Use it all. Ronnie, I'm so excited for what's next. And I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing space and time with me today. Um, it's lovely to, again, to watch the highlights on Instagram, because we don't talk every day. So I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing this. Okay, good, good, good. Keep the work up. So stay encouraged. Send my love to your family and everyone watching and listening. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to don't be stingy. Share it with a friend who could use some inspiration. Leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about this episode. Remember, there are hundreds of episodes of the Hollywood Bound Actor podcast that you can watch, or, well, listen to mostly. And then because I just started putting these on YouTube. So I'm so grateful that you are one of our subscribers. Um, Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember that you have a gift that the world needs to see. So don't cheat yourself or cheat us from sharing that gift with the world. Remember, shine bright like the star that you are. Peace.